Still tuned into the Power Station Energy 100 with myself, Elsabi Dimiani. We are busy with EconoChat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman. We are having random conversations, but we are also focusing on, how retail in general is doing during the festive season. And also when we look at what happened last year, Mr. Steinman, I can recall, for me it was a very sad moment because I was all hyped up about the festive season. So I decided, okay, let me take my my nephews and my cousins and my kids. Let's go to the mall, Marua Mall, to be specific.
But it didn't really happen.
It was so empty, and I was so sad about it. So this year I had a feeling it was different. I think the festive season for me personally has already started in beginning September because
why is that?
There was a high activity at the malls. People, I think they were just excited because of the past years. It hasn't been
you could
same.
Actually see more people, lots of people.
Yes, definitely.
No, Elsabe, that observation is very important, and it's an unconventional type of observation because it depends on what you see now immediately. And if you look at the performance of the retail sector over the last 3 years, 2020 was a dud, as in completely. And I do not know of any business that eventually made a profit during 2020, and this include the big chain supermarkets in the shopping malls. And 2021 was there were signs of a revival, and then we got this Omicron. You remember that number 4, number 5 or number 6 wave in the COVID attacks, and everything just deflated. Again, it imploded. So 2021 was a dud as well. And 2022, I think we were so shaken, so we started with very low expectations.
Yes, definitely.
And can you remember, even March and April, they started warning us of a possible next round of another COVID variant, which fortunately for us didn't happen or didn't come to pass, but it led to the lockdowns in China. And that had a major impact on supply chains, and on worldwide demand, and a whole lot of other stuff that happened during the year. And by the end of the first semester, on end of June, I was sort of despondent because all the indicators were negative. They were telling me, hey guys, you are heading into a third lost year.
I can't imagine how frustrating it probably was for economists like yourself.
Absolutely. In no uncertain terms. And because it was just stuck. And then from around about August, I started noticing in various statistical points. You can't really call it statistics at this stage. It's too early. It's more like a data point. But if you track several data points on a daily basis, from around August, I started seeing a change coming in. But in the same breath, I have to tell you that when I started seeing positive changes, it's also the time when inflation started getting out of hand. And I've talked about this about a month ago. Remember, the inflation wasn't caused by us. The inflation is caused by a war in Europe and by supply constraints in China and by the price of crude oil, none of which we control. So, and that is also to an economist very, very frustrating because you're trying to break the situation down to a model that you can sort of explain what's happening, and there just wasn't any. It was so out of context. And then we went into September, and what I noticed then, and something that you also noticed, you remember last year in December with Christmas, when it turned out to be such a big disappointment. You could go to any shopping mall in Windhoek at the coast, and you just didn't see people there. There were more security personnel on duty than there were actually shoppers.
And also the disappointment, or not rather disappointment, but also the sadness around how many shops were actually closed. Not in terms of because they are closed for the festive season, but because they couldn't afford. They were not making money. That in itself was also sad.
Stop trading.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a calamity. So what I want to point out, and this is what I'm going to carry on with just now, is that I noticed a very distinct turn, but not turn around. So I could see a change in direction in September. I was very reluctant to call it a turnaround because it wasn't that yet. And now the big question is, am I prepared to say that there is a turnaround now, or at least before Christmas? But let's go grab a cup of tea, and then I come back and I tell you guys what I think.
Okay.
Is it a turn or is it a turnaround?
Okay, let's hold that thought. We'll be back after these.